The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog. Someone else say that sentence. Better, you say it.
All right. The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog.
Oh, you sound great.
Yay.
Kurger Bing, you say it.
The quick brown fox jumped over the lazy dog.
Yeah, we can just start whenever.
Okay, cool. I'm ready to start. This is an Animorphs book club. We're going to read the Animorphs books. We're going to talk about the Animorphs books. I'm here with all my Arits. Never read the Animorphs books. Some of them read like a few sentences of them or something. Some of them everyone saw the covers in the library at school. But I've read all of them, all 64 of them. We're going to read as many as we can stand, and then we're going to talk about them. My name is Be Natural. I can't tell you my last name or where I live. It could be your town.
In the little town of your town.
I'm Batter. I don't have anything clever to say. Next.
I'm Kurger Bing. I live at Waluigi's Fortress in Arkansas. The address is 155 East Ash Street, Pottsville. And the zip code is 72858. So come knocking on my door.
I'm Mustard. I'm one of the 4 Arists of this podcast, and I'm still not sure what that is or how to pronounce it after reading the first book.
I'm Stir. Hi.
You cut out at the end of the word hi. I think you need to hold on the push.
No, I didn't.
I was holding it down for like 2 seconds after.
Dude, you sound like you're talking from underwater.
Yeah, you do. You're like, hi, I'm Stir.
Yeah, well, okay. This is a special episode because Stir is here with us, and he's currently underwater.
He has successfully morphed into a squid.
And so he's coming to us live from underwater.
This is a special thing. You don't get this in most podcasts. So what are we going to do right now? We're just like going to go through the plot and talk about stuff.
Yeah, what was everyone's initial impressions? Be honest and stuff.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I was surprised how much I was enjoying it. I was like, man, I'm like 11 years old again, basically. I remember like I was definitely noticing like things in the writing that are like, okay, this is dumb. Like when I was like 11, I was just reading this and I was like, oh, this is so cool. And that's like all there was to it.
This book is written for a very specific time period that's just a bit dated.
And also, and constantly said things like, but at the same time, it was all cool beyond any coolness ever.
Guys, I like how it mentions Sega.
What it does? What?
I have Sega at home, so I get lots of practice time in. But Marco has this amazing ability to analyze games and figure out all the little tricks.
Okay, hang on. You might. Okay, maybe the PDF is different than the. Did you read the PDF?
Yeah, I didn't.
Because I read the Kindle version, and mine did not say Sega.
Oh, did they update it?
Yes, they freaking updated it, which makes no sense.
Wait, what does it originally say?
The Sega. No, they updated it. If you read the PDF, you read the original version.
Oh, it just says like, oh, I have a video game system at home or something.
Yeah.
It would have been way better because nobody has this original Sega system. People just play it on Nintendo or whatever.
Did you talk about like actual video games then?
What?
I don't think so.
Mine talks about like the sleaze troll shows up right after you cross the nether fjord.
Oh, that was in mine too.
Okay.
I think that's a made up game though.
Yeah, it's not a Sega game.
Don't you know Sonic Sleaze Troll? This is the best Sonic game.
I think maybe the author didn't know that much about video games. She's like, "Oh, Sega, that's a group that makes video games. I'll throw them in there." But other than that,
it was written by like a 40-year-old mom. That's why.
Yeah. It's like, oh yeah, I have a video game system at home, so therefore I should be good at this arcade game. That's not really how it works.
That doesn't make sense.
Sega had a lot of arcade games that they brought to the console. So with Sega, to me, it makes sense.
Okay, so we have the main character, Jake. I don't know if we said that yet, but his name's Jake. And he has a friend named Tobias who is a loser who sticks his head in toilets. And he has straggly blonde hair that swirls around the toilet bowl.
Did he actually say that?
Tobias's straggly blonde hair swirling around the bowl is a quote I have written down.
I don't think that's in the book.
What a great phrase.
No, there were these two big guys holding him down and laughing while they flushed, sending Tobias's straggly blonde hair swirling around the bowl.
Oh my god, you're right. I don't remember that part.
By the way, I pronounce it Tobias.
Yeah, I thought it was Tobias too. I feel like Mustard is probably not the one pronouncing this correctly, knowing.
I don't pronounce anything correctly, so.
Yeah.
Okay, so Rachel is Jake's pretty cousin with blonde hair and blue eyes, and she's too tall but does gymnastics. And then Cassie is the complete opposite, because she wears boy clothing and is black with short hair, and is quiet and peaceful and understanding and also mystical.
Guys, oh my gosh.
Cassie's the son of God.
I love how they specifically mention that Cassie is black, yet they don't mention the races of other people.
Notice the like one of the first descriptions of Rachel is like, this is from Jake's point of view. We were heading for the exit when I spotted Rachel and Cassie. Rachel is kind of pretty, I guess. I mean, okay, she's very pretty. Although since she is my cousin, I don't really think about her that way.
Oh man, what the
What a great
frick?
sentence.
Excuse me? What?
There was a part earlier where he talks about, oh yeah, we're at the mall playing video games, and then the next sentence is just the usual, and that's a full sentence. I like that.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of that. They love to write in sentence fragments. It's a big thing with the.
Oh man.
So he has to go through the construction site to like get, he has to get home, and there's a shortcut through this abandoned construction site, and he keeps talking about how he's worried about like axe murderers and stuff. Because he's like, oh yeah, I don't want axe murderers to get me in the construction site.
Yeah, axe murderers.
And his mom like told him not to go in there
because of axe murderers.
So imagine his parents were like, oh Jake, you can't go in the construction site because that's where the axe murderers hang out.
Yep.
So you got to be careful.
They just wanted to make sure that he wasn't going in there to smoke weed. It's, he was just. They were like, Jake, if you go in there and smoke weed, the big scary axe murderers will come. They just use that. They just use that excuse for anything. They're like, Jake, stop touching yourself there. The axe murderers will come out.
Yeah.
Axe murderers is just Paris go to, and now Jake has a lifelong fear. Those scars will never go away.
And it talks about how he was like creeping past, and he's like, oh, I'm pretty sure I'd heard the sound of a chainsaw killer creeping up behind us. Don't chainsaws make a lot of noise?
No, only if they're off, they don't make a lot of noise.
They don't turn the chainsaws on until they get you.
No, that's like buff it up, and then they like hack and slash.
Okay, well, he heard the sound of the chainsaw just like, really quiet, like, it was like trying to be quiet. It was like a.
That's what a chainsaw sounds like, yeah.
Yeah. So they're going through the construction site, and Jake is all, he's all excited about the chainsaw massacres, and then they see the aliens, and then they see the lights, and they're like, oh, I don't remember what it was. They were just like, it's a flying saucer. Tobias shouts out. Oh, Cassie just blurted it right out. It's a flying saucer. So then Elfangor comes out, and he's like, oh, I'm super wounded. Somebody else described this because I might accidentally.
Elfangor, what?
Elfangor.
Do they have the name?
Oh, you mean Elfangor?
Bro.
Oh my gosh.
Hang on. Was the what's this freaking species? Andalite? His name was Elfangor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Elfinger.
They just kept calling him the Andalite, didn't they?
His name is Elfinger.
He's a prince.
He's Prince Elfangor Serenial Shamtul. When Visor 3 shows up, he says, oh, if it isn't Prince Elfangor,
Uh-huh.
Hang on, so there's a good alien who comes out of a ship, and he's like, oh, I'm wounded, and the bad aliens are coming. And then the bad aliens come.
Yes.
There's like these two other aliens called Hork Badger and Taxon.
Taxons and Hork-Bajirs. I pronounce it Taxon. I don't know who pronounces it as what, but I pronounce it Taxon.
Well, I pronounce it more like Taxon, but
I don't remember what they do, what they look like, but I think, are they good and hypnotized?
Buster, did you read the book Hypnotized? The Yeerks are an evil race of hypnotists.
The Yeerks are little slugs that crawl in your brain and they control you. That's the alien gimmick.
Yes.
It's kind of hypnosis.
It's not!
By the way, your ear isn't like a direct hole into your brain. You got to go through the eardrum, and you got to go through the little semicircular canals I don't know how the Yeerks expect to travel across that.
I was thinking about Urkin controllers the other day, and like, what if because Urkins don't have ears, and like, what if they got Urkins? But then I thought they just go in through their eyes.
That's what I was expecting at first, actually. The eyes or the nose. I think it's a lot easier to get through that because you'd have to pierce the eardrum, right?
Yes, they actually explain that later.
Okay, so then then they like hide out of the way as the evil aliens talk to this good alien. They're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna kill you and take over this planet." And the good alien like warns the kids like, "Hey, you have to stop them." And then the kid also sees some humans, and one of them laughs. And Jake's like, "Oh man, that laughter sounds familiar." And these are like humans who are like aliens.
Yeah,
and
humans.
As soon as I saw that line, I was like, I'm going to be really mad if that alien is his principal or his teacher, because that's like a trope.
Yeah.
A little bit later, it's revealed that like his brother is like an alien, or he's being possessed by an alien. And I was like, oh, so that familiar laugh is his brother. But no, it was his principal.
Yeah.
How would he recognize his brother? Come on. It's got to be somebody he only sort of knows.
I thought it was like too dark to see. I don't quite remember the beginning of it. I read half of this at like 5 a.m. So anyway, this good alien, before he dies, he gives these kids powers to morph into animals, and then he gets killed, I think.
And then and there's Visor 3.
Visor 3 is a bad alien, and he has the power to morph because he's one of those little slug things, Yeerks, and he took over an Andalite, right?
Yes.
And Andalites are the only aliens who have morphing powers.
Yes.
And that's what this good alien is. The Andalites are good. But so the Visor 3 is this bad Andalite.
But before he turns into the giant alien, he just freaking shouts his plan to the entire area just so the Animorphs can conveniently hear what he's talking about.
The Andalite does explain why he does that. Like, it's not just for plot convenience.
Well, he says this is a great victory for him, so he wants all to hear. And I was just like, wait, including any of the axe murderers that are wandering around the construction site?
Yeah,
I mean,
that's true.
It's not like this place is private. There's plenty, it's already been established that there's a lot of people walking around here. And then even later, they run into an actual homeless guy, and now I just feel bad for this homeless guy who's just taking a nap, and they start cheering and I'm gonna eat you!
I forgot about the homeless guy.
And they just run into this homeless guy, and they never mention him again. Do they kill him? I feel like they might kill him.
In the book, it's like, oh yeah, I don't know if the homeless guy got away. I hope he did. He either ran away or got killed by the aliens.
Pretty sure he got killed. I was surprised at this scene because they actually kind of get discovered, and then they just gotta yeet themselves out of there. And I was very surprised that they ran away, that they actually got away. It seemed like a bit unrealistic.
I forgot about that. Yeah, it was
yeah, I was expecting them to all die right there, and then that's at the end of the book series.
And the rest of the book series just blank.
But it's a kid's book. And then the next day, Tobias comes over to Jake's house, and then he turns into a cat.
Yeah, can I point something out? So
yes.
He's like, okay, we need to make sure our door's closed so our parents don't walk in. And then 5 minutes later, he's naked.
Yeah, all the nakedness in this book was kind of weird.
I didn't even think about that at all. What if Tom had walked in if Tom walked in right at that moment, he wouldn't have suspected a thing. He just immediately oh my god, and close the door. He actually should have somehow orchestrated for Tom to come into his room there, because strategically that would have been great. Because then Tom would never go knocking on his door again.
Can I point out Tobias's cat's name is Dude, and that is a fantastic cat name.
That's a great cat name.
Yeah.
When it's describing how Tobias is turning from a cat into a human, I mean, usually the descriptions, it's supposed to be gross, the descriptions of the morphing, but I really especially don't like the description, the tail was sucked up like a snake going up a vacuum cleaner.
You mean snake? Yeah.
The snake. Yeah, it says this tail was sucked up like a snake going up a vacuum cleaner.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I have a question about that. Did the towel go up his butt?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I don't
know.
It wasn't supposed to, but when you describe it like that, I can't help but think of that.
There was a part later in the book that supports that. I need to find the quote.
Doesn't it say my tail squirted out of me? The tail squirted out behind me. I'm there now.
No.
Yeah, the tail squirted out behind me.
Like diarrhea.
Yeah.
So I'm convinced that the tails come out of the butt.
That's dumb because the butthole is below the tail. They don't overlap.
They have to grow a second butthole then.
Yeah. No, because earlier when he's changing into Homer, I'm pretty sure it says that his tailbone is getting longer.
Well, yeah, but only dogs. Cats, it comes out of the butt.
Cat tails
Anyway,
come out of their
Homer is the name of Jake's dog, which is a much worse name than Dude, I think.
I think it's all right.
Anyway, so Tobias is in Jake's house and he turns into his cat. And at one point, Jake starts yawning and then just stops, which is impossible, I think. You can't just like yawn and then close your mouth and stop. Like, that's the most unbelievable part of this book, I think. Tobias said like something like, Jake, I turned into Dude. And I thought Dude was some guy at school, like maybe someone who was like good with the ladies, and Tobias just wanted to be him.
Aww.
So he just morphed into this guy.
That's identity theft. Identity theft is not a jokester.
I know. That would be very exploitable and that would be dangerous. But I don't know if they can morph into people yet. I don't know.
Wouldn't that have been a much more wholesome ending? Like, instead of turning into a hawk and getting stuck as a hawk, Tobias turns into this kid from his middle school and he's stuck like that, and then he has to explain that to his parents, and it's like, oh no, how are we gonna figure out how to? It's gonna look like dudes around house.
Yeah, I was surprised that they did the whole stuck as a hawk thing in like the first book. I thought that would happen like partway through.
Reading this though, I was just like, yeah, Tobias totally wants to be a hawk. He wants to get away from his human life.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of irresponsible.
It definitely is, but he's like 13, so you know.
I feel like it's a good message to the other characters.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, this is real. This is real. I think it's a nice way to be like this. This is actual stakes in this.
It just seems kind of early. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It doesn't seem early to me.
Back in Jake's bedroom, I want to point out like a bit of writing that I actually really liked. When Tobias is in Jake's bedroom, he's like, he just looked at me with those deep, troubled eyes I can now see only in my memory, which I thought was nice foreshadowing to what happens later.
Whoa.
I don't know if you would catch it if you didn't know what was going to happen.
No, I didn't. I didn't catch that. Anyway, so yeah, Tobias comes over to Jake's house and is like, oh, dude, we can morph. And then they all figure out how to morph and stuff.
Toe by us. Toe by ass. Okay? Come on. It's not that hard.
When Jake turns into a dog, it says, I could feel my backbone stretching as it extended out into a tail. There was a scraping sound as my knees suddenly reversed direction. And I was thinking, what effect is all this morphing into different animals going to have on their like backs when they get older? This doesn't seem helpful. The next note I have, I don't know what happens next in the book, but I just have, it's like being stuck in the most impossible video game ever invented. Yeah, it is kind of, but I'm pretty good at video games. I thought that was really silly.
Yeah, these guys are gamers. That's how you know they're not messing around.
Wait, what is he talking about? What video game?
He's talking about like how this whole situation with the aliens and having to deal with that. Yeah, it's like, oh, it's like being in the most impossible video game ever, but I'm good at video games.
Yeah, so be good.
Yeah, they're gamers. They know what they're doing.
This is just an epic gamer moment. This whole book is just how gamers saved the world, basically.
Exactly.
So I think he found out how to. Does he find out his principal is one of the aliens?
He finds that don't they find that out at the end? Or no, they find. I don't even remember. I don't think it's important.
They find that out at the beach. There were very obvious hints that his brother is an alien, or he's being controlled by aliens, and he just doesn't pick up on it because he's stupid.
Yeah. I want to just talk about how freaking creepy Tom is about the sharing and how obvious it is that he's an alien. Like, I thought the whole point of the Yeerks and why they're scary is because they can, like, read people's thoughts and act just like them. And Jake has all these parts in the book where he's like, he looked and he sounded and he acted like my brother Tom, but I knew he wasn't. And it's, but then like, they're just insanely creepy about this sharing thing. Like, Tom is all like, the sharing is the best. It is totally not suspicious at all. It is human club for human fun. Volleyball.
I think that's justified that Jake is so reluctant to believe that Tom's an alien because he loves him. And he has like a mental block that refuses to let him do it because he wants to believe the best of his brother. So I think if somebody else that Jake wasn't so close to was acting weird like that, it would be easier.
Like the principal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. I just thought the way that he was talking about the sharing was like, it just seems very cultish.
Yeah, it's called.
When you become a full member, the world opens up to you, and you can see all sorts of the possibilities of it. It's just so great, man. You never know it's like.
I can make a connection here to something.
That will come later. First, you become an associate member. Later, the leaders will decide whether or not to ask you to become a full member. Once you become a full member, the whole world changes.
Man, that reminds me of the Consuming Shadow.
For some reason, that didn't do anything to make me less scared of the Yeerks when I was little. I was like, oh, I just don't join any freaking cults. But no, I was like, oh, what if my soccer team is Yeerks? what if my art class is Yeerks? You know?
Well, it's not like they only took people who joined the cult.
Yeah, Tom didn't join the cult. You're just automatically in the cult after you become a possessed or whatever.
Yeah, but the cult is how they get people to join.
I assume Tom joined the sharing, and then when he became a full member, he was like, no, I don't want to have a Yeerk inside me, but they forced him to. I assume that's how it went.
I assumed he was possessed first, and then the sharing is just what it's called when they go down to the pool.
No, the sharing is the whole cult, dude. It's like the associates. It's the people at the volleyball and barbecue.
That's like the disguise.
It is. The sharing is like a front for the Yeerks, but that's like, it's not like all Yeerks are part of the sharing. Like, the sharing is just like a thing to recruit people in that area or whatever.
I like how the aliens, to make this thing less suspicious, they make it sound as much like a cult as possible.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, no one's going to suspect a cult in town.
That's another connection.
That's
I can
valid.
make. Man, I'm making all sorts of connections of different things here.
Oh, to your cults that you've been learning about?
No, to video games. Duh.
To the Consuming Shadow.
And 6 Days of Sacrifice. I'm making connections. I like cult stuff. And I do research on cults.
Yeah.
I just like the way that Tom talks about the sharing. He goes, well, we play night volleyball, which is so funny because half the time the guys can't even see the ball. It's great. It's the best organization. You'll love it. It just sounds like
It's
such
the most fun
alien.
you could possibly have while joining a cult.
The most amount of fun you could possibly have.
So at some point, one of the two girls, I don't remember which one, has a mom who like owns a bunch of animals.
That's Cassie.
At some point, Cassie's like, oh, we have to go feed the animals and give them meds. Meds or medicines. So
That I rolled my eyes at. I was like, come on. You don't expect me to not know what med is for.
I like the part where they're morphing on the beach, and then they're morphing on the beach where the cult gathering is, and Rachel says, now, come on, both of you, all look the other way so your delicate boy modesty isn't offended. And I was like, oh, Rachel, slay it. You're so cool, Rachel.
I thought that was weird.
I thought it was funny.
Quite weird.
It says that Cassie and Rachel looked away. So does that mean that Marco and Tobias were just watching Jake naked the whole time?
Cassie and Rachel looked away while Tobias and Marco continued to stare at me.
They ogled.
This is fine. Yeah, they all. And then I was like, "Is that a Yeerk in your pants, or are you just happy to see me?"
Oh. What happens next?
That's a good joke.
Oh wow! I didn't think you would like it. It's good. I just thought of and believe it or not, I only thought of it like 2 seconds ago.
So they go to the cult, and then they one of them disguises as a dog, and then listens in to what's going on.
One thing that kept bothering me in this book is there's so many parts where they have to be quiet so people don't hear them, and then they're just talking for no reason. Like they could be doing like the mind telepathy, but they're just talking instead.
They can only do the telepathy when they're in morph.
Yeah, but there's so many parts where they are morphed and they keep talking.
What are you talking about? There's never a part where there's like a horse and the horse just starts talking with its mouth.
Well, no. But there's parts where someone is in morph form and they're still talking out loud about stuff that should be secret.
You can't use telepathy unless you are in morph.
No, I'm pretty sure in the episode where Tobias is a cat that he can.
What happened?
Jake talks in telepathy to him when Tobias is a cat. It said, I wondered if Tobias had heard my thought. I concentrated. Tobias, can you hear me? Yeah, he said, I hear you.
Oh, okay. So this is very interesting. All right. So you are reading the 1990, I don't know when this was written, 1990.
Oh, did they retcon it?
They did.
Oh, that's stupid.
So you were reading the 1996 version, and I have on my Kindle, I have the like 2010 reprint, and it says, hello, Tobias, I thought to him again. Nothing. And then they Tobias is like, I don't think it works like that. I think you have to be in morph.
Oh, okay then.
You can receive telepathy like whenever. It doesn't you can always receive telepathy, but you can only send telepathy when you are in morph.
Okay, that's a good mechanic. Too bad she didn't think of that until later.
Also, Andalites can use telepathy because they like evolved that. So
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
they like updated some of the references, which is really dumb because like if this book took place in like the 2010s, at least one of their parents would have like put one of those tracker things in one of their cell phones, and then they would have been like, "Why were you hanging out at your school for like 7 hours last night?"
Yeah, I'm glad that they didn't try to update it that much.
Why does my tracker show you just like running all over the city at the speed of a flying bird?
Have you mentioned that to turn into an animal, if like touch it first, and then you can turn into it whenever you want?
Yeah.
Right after the beach, he turns into a lizard. Then there's this whole long thing about how he's freaked out and he wants to get out of the locker and then he wants to go back in the locker.
Well, then he goes and he spies on his principal. And then the principal just like, oh, there's an entrance to the Yerk pool, like in the janitor's closet.
One line I wrote down was, I turned into a lizard, a green anole to be exact. It's a member of the iguana family, like you care. I thought that was funny. He's like, yeah, you're right, I don't care, Jake. Thanks for pointing that out.
Thanks for acknowledging that.
I thought the way they described how he was in the lizard brain, I like how they can't immediately control the animal's brains necessarily. Like, I feel like if you could just turn into anything at all, that's a little bit overpowered.
Yeah, that's a cool mechanic that they get some of the animal's instincts, because then that would explain why they can like immediately do everything the animal can do without like having to figure it out.
But at the same time, it's like it presents obstacles to their goals, which I liked. I thought that was pretty cool. It's not like we get animal bodies to do what we want. It's like we have animals and we have to direct these animals to do what they want.
Yeah, because instincts are in the DNA, aren't they?
Yes, they are.
Yeah, so that makes perfect sense.
I thought that was a cool aspect of it.
Yeah.
I liked reading how difficult it was for Jake to figure out where he was in the hallway and everything, and to not eat spiders.
Yeah, that was gross when he ate the spider as a lizard.
I was just like, oh, that's the nature.
Yeah, but he was like not enjoying it though.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he was kind of like, So,
All right, yeah, not much happens when he's a lizard. He just,
he finds a secret passageway. He eats the spider.
Then they meet up and talk about it, and then there's this whole thing about how Marco doesn't want to do it to become an animal, and everybody else wants to, and they're like, Marco, you gotta help us. And he's like, no, I don't want to die because my dad will be sad. And then it's kind of tiresome though, because he's gonna join him eventually.
Yeah, I mean, you got to fill up the first book with something. I felt like it was pretty good as far as first book things.
Yeah, it could be worse, I guess.
But of course, Marco's just being like, yeah, I'm just gonna sit around until we all die. That's fine. So on the one hand, it's like, what's your plan here?
Oh, and there's the roll credits in this chapter too.
Yeah.
Just tell them we're Animorphs.
I love that. I love that part. I was like, oh, I love the part where he says Animorphs. I tested out the name in my head. I guess it sounded fine.
Yeah, I know how he like thinks it's okay. Like he's not like, oh, Animorphs, that's the best name ever. It's just like, yeah, okay, it'll work.
Yeah, I love that. I thought that was great because it is and truthfully, it is a mediocre name for them.
It is a mediocre name.
Then they're at the gardens, and then they just run around in the back of like the zoo.
I like how they describe the gardens as like a zoo, only cooler, but the description just sounds like a zoo to me.
Well, it has roller coasters.
I mean, they're like, oh, but the gardens are nicer to animals than most zoos, but they just sound like normal exhibits.
So they have to sneak into the zoo to like touch a bunch of animals, basically, so they can become their powers.
Yes.
Or become, you know what I mean. One of the girls' moms owns the zoo or something, and they have to like sneak in the back to like where the zookeepers like feed the animals
with doors that just open up and they don't lock.
Yeah, and why aren't they labeled?
They all just know the zoo so well that nobody needs labels.
Yeah, that was really weird.
Specifically so that kids who are sneaking around back will get mauled to death because they open the wrong door. I like this quote from Marco where he says, "Now do you see why it's crazy to think we can beat the Yerks? I mean, come on, we can barely beat zoo security."
I did really like that quote.
I was honestly unsure about if I liked this book for the first 75% of it. And then once I got to the golf cart part, I was like, this is good. I like this.
Yeah, I was enjoying the golf cart part.
There was like a whole 2 pages that I really liked with just dialogue between Jake and Marco. Where one of them was like, hey, try steering.
and then he
Yeah.
like crashed into something. And he's like, "Oh, which way?" And he like turn around and he like goes the opposite way, and then he falls out.
Oh, I like it when he falls out because that just completely caught me off guard. I didn't think he would actually fall out of the cart.
When he fell out of the cart, Marco's like, "What are you doing? Quit playing around."
Yeah.
Just like driving bumper cars, right? Marco said. Only you try not to hit anything, I said. He put his foot down on the pedal. The electric motor made a whirring sound and he took off straight toward the wall. Bam! Hey, try steering, I yelled. We backed up and took off again. We picked up speed, enough to pull away from the guard, but when I looked back, blah, blah, blah. Which way? What? Which way? I turned around to face forward. We had reached a T-corner. Right, I yelled. Naturally, Marco turned left. So, yeah, I enjoyed that scene.
I have a question. I assume that since they're in the U.S., the steering wheel should be on the left of the cart, right? So when he turns, so Jake should be sitting on the right.
Yes.
So if he turns right and they're not wearing seatbelts, shouldn't Jake be pushed into Marco?
I believe I've seen golf carts where the steering wheel is on the right.
Why though?
I think they just put them on whatever side they want because they don't drive in actual traffic.
They're usually on the left, from what I see.
I don't see any reason why they would be on the right though.
Hey, hey, look, I'm looking at Google Images and I just found one where the thing is on the left. Oh wait, never mind.
I think sometimes they're just like in the middle, and then he could just be on the opposite side of that.
So then they go in and then they fall into the tiger pit and then they have an epic chase where they try and not get eaten by tigers and everything's fine and they don't get caught and then they go home on the bus.
There's one quote that I wrote down that I like actually laughed out a little bit, and it said, someone says about like, oh, we need to acquire that tiger, and someone responds with, acquire what? You can't acquire anything about him. He's the acquirer and you're the acquiree. He's going to acquire your butt for dinner. He's going to acquire you and spit out the bones. I like that.
I feel like that line went on just a bit too long though.
It was great.
I'm not surprised that Mustard.
If you're scared of a tiger, I wouldn't just blab about it for like 15 seconds.
Marco's a talker.
Marco tends to like overplay a lot of like doubt a lot in this book.
Yeah, he's like, well, he's the one who's like written as like the no, we can't do it, and Tobias is like yeah, we got to do it, and then everybody else is in between. So like both of those guys have to be like super like. Rah. Personally, I thought Tobias was the best written in this book. I think because Jake's too much of like a dude bro, and Cassie and Rachel aren't really written much at all. It makes sense to me because he's got it's established that he's got like nothing in his life, and so I could easily see him.
Yeah,
as being,
I noticed that for a lot of the lines.
purpose.
Especially in the scene where they find the spaceship, it seems like they're kind of just randomly assigned to a person without any like regard to what their character might actually say. Like I was surprised that it was Cassie of all people to be like, "Oh, it's this flying saucer," because I didn't have the impression that she would be the one to say that. It just seemed like they just assigned it to someone random.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's a flying saucer is a particularly like characteristic thing for anybody to say ever.
He it by saying like, oh, everybody was too afraid to say something. We're all like just staring up at it, like watching it come in.
You know, you're right. So to summarize, they go to the zoo and they open up an unmarked door and an unlocked door, and then they go in and Jake squats on a tiger, and then they go home. And then
hang on, I have some stuff to say about this. So
okay.
The zookeepers are like chasing them because they're not where they're supposed to be, and they go in the tiger exhibit. And then the guys just don't follow them. Like they don't like go in there and save them. Like, hey, kids shouldn't be in there.
I mean, okay, but if they have a tiger exhibit, they've got to have people who are experienced with working with tigers.
But then they all just go home on the bus and nobody worries about it ever again.
Yeah, that's weird. I thought that would have gotten a lot of press, and people would have been freaking out about it and stuff.
Everybody's too worried about the teenagers who are setting off fireworks in the construction site.
Oh yeah, did we mention that?
That's just making up all the front page news. So like,
no, we skipped over the part where the policeman comes and talks to him.
The policeman comes and talks to them, and then, well, the news is like saying like that there were teenagers letting off fireworks in the construction site, and that's like all the town can talk about. So
it's a cover up for the aliens.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'm not entirely sure how Rachel and Cassie are friends. It seems like Rachel, as a popular girl, wouldn't really pay much attention to like the old country, likes dirt and stuff person.
Because every sitcom has people who would never be friends being friends.
Someone says, "Oh, the king of the jungle is going to attack us," and then it's like, "No, lions are the king of the jungle, not tigers."
Why?
Don't tigers live in the jungle and lions don't?
Yep. Everyone knows that tigers are the ones who have a monarchy, and lions are kind of just chilling.
Lions have a democracy. They live in a pride, whereas tigers are more solitary. They live in the jungle.
And every single tiger is a king of its own life.
Yep.
After the zoo chase, Jake goes back home. He says his mom's a writer, so she hates TV unless it's one of her favorite programs. I thought that was weird.
On my nerves too. I don't understand why being a writer makes you hate TV.
She's just really jealous that TV writers get to make a lot more money than authors.
Hey, wait, do you think Jake's mom is Applegate's self-insert because she's a writer and she's like, oh, my kids watch too much TV.
Yeah, probably. I didn't think about that.
This is one of my favorite lines in the book. Eat the broccoli, Jake. It's good for you. It's full of trace minerals and vitamins you can't get anywhere else. Okay, I said to my mom. You know how much I love trace minerals.
I like how everybody has like different parts of the book that they thought was funny.
Did you not think that was funny?
No, I didn't. I was like, it's stupid.
Very funny.
So, Tom was doing a girl.
Wait, what? Doing a girl?
Yeah, so Jake's like, hey, so Tom, what is it you said you were doing?
A girl, my dad commented. I know these things. I'm a doctor.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Bruh.
Yeah, bruh.
I don't know when this was, but there's a part where like Toby's goes on Rachel's shoulder, and it's like, why would Toby's put on Rachel's shoulder? And she didn't seem at all annoyed. She rubbed her head against him a little. Was that meant to be like a romantic thing between them?
You'll see.
He's stuck as a hawk now. Come on. How far can it go without it being weird?
I mean, she can turn into a hawk.
Yes.
Oh no.
Yeah.
They're only dating when Cassie's a hawk because I got to keep it in the species.
Rachel.
And then they can have as much hawk sex as they want.
Yeah.
Whoa.
They go to the yolk pool after this, right?
Yes, they do. And then they got Cassie. They got Cassie, so they gotta. It's all stakes are high and everything. They can't just
Yeah,
go.
Cassie was kidnapped by the Yerks.
Yeah.
Did we explain what a yolk pool is?
It's just a giant pool with Yerks in it.
The yolk pool is where the Yerk crawl out of the people. They go in the little pool and they jump back in the people. They go in the ear, the little slugs.
Yeah.
So there's like a moment of time where you can like save the people if you do it while it's doing that.
Yes.
While they're going down to the yolk pool, Marco's like, "Oh, you sure this is a yolk pool? If I see a guy with horns and a pitchfork, I'm out of here."
I mean, and then they were like, and then they get down there and they're like, yeah, this is basically hell, honestly, because there are people screaming and cages and the TVs and daytime television and hot tubs. Basically hell.
When I was a kid digging in my sandbox, I thought, man, if I just dig like a few more times, maybe I'll end up in China. You know,
Is this from the book or is that something you thought?
that's something I thought.
With a little plastic shovel.
Yeah. When you're a kid, everything seems so much smaller than it really is.
So then they get to the Yerk pool and there's all these people down there and they're like, man, this is awful. And there's also these people just sitting there watching TV and they're like, oh, those are the voluntary controllers who are just fine with this, I guess. And they just sit there watching TV in the same room where everybody's like screaming bloody murder and there's dinosaurs walking around. They're just sitting there watching TV, I guess.
Marco turns into a giant gorilla that he got from the zoo. He says, "Oh, just call me King Kong."
That's a good line.
That was a stupid
I
line.
didn't, that was a stupid line, I thought.
It's like, why does he say that? Someone says, "You're my best friend, you jerk," and I thought that was cute.
That is cute. This book is
That's cute.
I don't know when that was. I just have that quote written down.
Hey, Kurger Bing, what happens next?
So then Kurger Bing, what happens next?
What the heck? Why do I have to describe it? I'm terrible at this.
You haven't talked to a while. I miss you.
I don't.
Mister can describe it too.
Yes, sir, help me.
They're in the pit of hell, and they see Tom, and he's shouting, and he's like, "Yo, I'm gonna punch you in the face," and it's very nice. I think Tom is my favorite character in the whole book.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
People die in this book.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's what I was gonna say. Like, Rachel like turns into an elephant and immediately it's like she just picks people up with her trunk and just freaking flings people around and they all die.
So people die in this book, and Toby's a bird forever because he stays in bird form for 2 hours, and when you do that, you become that animal forever. And Toby's is a bird now.
Yep.
Well, that animal, except you have your own memories, and you can use telepathy.
Yeah, Mustard still doesn't know how to pronounce Tobias.
Tobias.
Is this part where like they have this big climactic battle with Visor 3, who turns into another giant monster thing and wants to eat them again, and then it's like, oh, and just Tom just happens to be down there at the same time, and then Tom, like, without his yerk in him, he just challenges Visor 3 to a fist fight.
Yeah, Tom's great.
And he says,
Yeah, I like
you
that
filthy creep, you aren't going to win this time. All alone, he charged at Visor 3, armed with nothing but his fists. And it's supposed to be like this brave moment where Jake is like, wow, Tom's so cool. But I was just thinking, like, what an idiot.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it.
It's awesome, yeah.
Do they save Tom? I don't remember.
No, they
No,
don't.
they don't.
Tom is just
I was surprised at like how little closure that this book actually had. I thought if they're gonna accomplish at least one thing, and I thought they're at least gonna save Tom or something.
Cassie got kidnapped and they saved Cassie, and
They saved a random lady.
they saved like one other like old lady or something.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like I'd say overall they made like negative progress because like people died and Tobias is a bird.
Yeah, they did.
yeah.
Hey, it's all uphill from here. And so then after that, it's like they were talking about the police officer who caught Cassie and knew about the fact that Cass, like, it said he'd be the only controller to know her name, where she lived, and that she had been spying on the sharing. Cassie said we didn't have to worry about him anymore. She didn't want to talk about what had happened to him.
Cassie straight up murdered somebody.
She just murdered him. And that works because this police officer who's part of this like hive mind alien race never tells anybody else what's going on, this important information. So it's fine.
Well, I assume he like just found out and then she killed him.
Yeah. So that's about it. The book ends.
Did you notice like what it says on the very last page of the book?
No.
It says, the Animorphs series, written by Catherine Applegate and her husband, Michael Grant, has sold millions of copies worldwide and has alerted the world to the presence of the Yeerks.
Yes. I know.
I like that they knew about the Yeerks, but they didn't like tell the authorities or the police or anything. They're like, oh yeah, let's just write this into a kid's book, and then that will alert the whole world about it. That's the best way to get the message out.
Oh, yeah, should we talk about the cover quick? It's good.
I don't really like it. It's unsettling.
Yeah.
Does anyone have anything else they want to say about the cover?
Or the book in general. I think this book does a good job of making the bad guys seem intimidating.
Yeah, I actually think the bad guys are gonna do some bad things, and they're gonna be dangerous. And especially when they first went into the Yeerk pool, I was like, yeah, this actually seems impossible. I don't know why they think they can do this with a tiger, a gorilla, and an elephant. And then they didn't. And then that was cool. There's this concept of failure that they have that I haven't seen in the Kirby anime to make a comparison there. Yeah, it's not like a little kid show. It's like a thing.
Why don't we just bring in Kirby to fight the Yeerks? He'd get it done in like one episode.
He'd get it done in one episode, under half hour. He'll get it all done. He'll suck all the Yeerks up, and he'll become Yeerk Kirby.
He just sucks something and then becomes it immediately. Yeah, I like that they didn't defeat the Yeerks, because my assumption would be that once they like figure out how to stop the Yeerk pool, they just win. So that takes like 60 books. That was my assumption.
Yeah, I assume that they'll defeat the Yeerk pool in this one, and the next one they'll over the 60 books they'll just go all around the earth and destroy Yeerk pools or something. But no, it's not going to be that easy, you know.
Mm-hmm. When I was a little kid, I was like actually afraid of the Yeerks. I mean, when I was like reading this book for the first time, like I was like actually afraid of them. Like I thought that like I remember like thinking like, what if this teacher pulls me into a room and then puts a slug in my brain?
I mean, you had no proof that wouldn't ever happen.
Exactly. And like it kept saying, the books kept being like, and like, you know, when you're like 10, you're like conditioned to believe these stupid things.
I like when Marco said, math teachers for sure. The math teachers are definitely controllers.
Wah, wah.
Wah, wah.
Wah wah. Wah wah.
Wah, 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 wah. Aren't you going to join in, Be Natural?
What song is that?
You'd never understand. I realized while reading this book that it was like almost calculated to get like every single demographic that an author could think she should reach in the 90s.
Jake is a gamer and he likes sports, I noticed.
Cassie likes animals, so there you got that. And Rachel likes the mall, so you got like the popular mall blonde people there. And you know, and you also have like they're all from different like kind of family situations. Like
something that kind of annoyed me was how they're like, "Oh, Tobias has the craziest family ever. His parents are not married anymore." I can think of way crazier family situations than that.
Didn't they say that his family like disappeared or something, or like they know, or his family just like dumped him off, and then he just lives with his uncle and aunt who don't care about him. And he's basically like Harry Potter, except his uncle and aunt are divorced and don't even like each other.
Something like that. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that's what it was.
What song was that?
This was a good book to start the series on. I thought it was. I thought it did its job pretty well.
Okay, do we have anything else we want to talk about?
No, there's nothing else.
All right, I'm Be Natural, and this is me signing off.
I'm Batter. See you later.
I'm Kurger Bing. Catch you on the flip side.
I'm Mustard. So long and good night.
Sure. Bye. Who has handcuffs? What was that?
Hey, why did the student try to return their math book?
Because there were too many problems with it.
Yeah, it had too many problems.
That's not funny.
Kurger Bing, did you have a joke you wanted to tell?
No.
Okay, bye.
Ah! Hello?
I just wanted to do a funny stream. That's it.
Hello?
Hello.